Hello, this is Crush Boss bringing you a tutorial video for FO4Edit. Just as a general background, FO4Edit is the equivalent of TES or TES5Edit for Skyrim. It's just been updated for Fallout 4. However, not all the records and data fields have been updated and populated for Fallout 4, and so it only has basic support currently for Fallout 4 until all the records and fields that are new to Fallout 4 are updated. Currently it supports pretty much everything that is shared between the records and so forth that are shared between Skyrim and Fallout 4, but it's still missing some of the data fields and records that are unique to Fallout 4, and so I'm sure that will be updated in the near future so it has full support for all the Fallout 4 records and data fields. The original name of TES5Edit or FO4Edit was Xedit, and so if you see people referring to the program as Xedit, that's the same thing as TES5Edit or FO4Edit, just they're using the original name, and sometimes it confuses players. What I'm going to cover in this tutorial, not the installation of FO4Edit because that's easy, but basically how to navigate in FO4Edit, how to make a basic mod with it, how to make a compatibility patch, how to merge mods, and how to make your load order compatible so that it functions well as a complete load order, and trying to resolve conflicts and try to avoid issues. Let's go ahead and launch FO4Edit now. You'll notice that it has a list of all my mods that are activated. If I had mods that weren't activated, they'd be below this one. They'd be unchecked. These are all the mods, all the ones that are checked are the ones that are activated in my load order, or basically my plugins.txt file. Fallout 4.esm is always loaded, since that is the core file that all the other mods rely on. It's the core or master file for the game, and so it doesn't need to be checked. It's always loaded. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK to load my entire load order here. Alternatively, you can also do things like, to save time, you can right-click and select None if you want to clear the whole list and just select one or two mods to compare. Or if you just want to merge, say, these mods, you can just select those and click OK. Or you can also come in here and then select all of them again to select the whole load order. Sorry. You can click on OK. You'll notice as it's processing the records that some of the data fields are missing. Like here we go. It doesn't recognize some of the data fields. It comes up as unknown, and that'll later be fixed once all the data has been fully populated for the game, and FO4Edit fully supports all the records and all the data fields in the game. Okay, now that I have my load order loaded in FO4Edit, I want to explain a couple things. Every mod has a form ID attached to it. And the reason that it's important is because your load order is basically numbered and using a hexadecimal system. you'll notice that this one is OE, OD, 17, and then once you get up to 29, it goes to 2A, 2B, 2C. And the first two digits of the form ID is basically the identifier. That's all the records in that mod will use that two-digit identifier of the form ID. So basically, if I come into settlement keywords, for example, you'll notice that every record in this mod starts with 03. Doesn't matter what it is, it'll start with 03, except for objects or records that are from your Fallout 4 ESM. So these are modified records. If you click on this record, you'll notice that it's actually a Fallout 4 record that was modified for the settlement keywords ESM file. So this will actually use the form ID of the master, which is Fallout 4 ESM. But any records that are unique to this mod will start with 03, which is this identifier here. And this, I can keep going down the list. Let's see, these are all basically Fallout 4, so they don't have anything unique. Let's find something that has something unique here. Here we go. So you'll notice that the form ID starts with 0D. You'll notice that everything unique in this mod will start with 0D, and that's how it will be identified in the game. And the reason these numbers are important is the records are all tied to the form ID, and the game does a really good job of reordering the form IDs and renumbering them. For example, if you delete a mod or add a new mod or change the order of your mods, it does a really good job of reordering those form IDs and renumbering them. For example, if let's take this TAC shotgun here, and you'll notice that it's a new item, so it starts with 4D, as the form ID starts with 4D. Now if I were to delete this mod here and it moves up a slot, it would become 4C. The Fallout 4 engine does a really good job of renumbering that ID to the new number. It would become 4C if this mod was removed and it got moved up. The problem with that is mods that use scripts do not like to be renumbered, because the scripts are saved in your save game and are tied to certain references. There's different pointers that point to specific references in these form IDs, and if you renumber a mod that uses scripts, what usually happens is you orphan those scripts, you break the scripts, and that can cause crash to desktops, it can cause stability issues, it can cause save game bloat. And eventually what happens if you mess up the order of scripted mods too many times, you will eventually break your save game to where it won't even load anymore. And so the best practice is once you have your load order established, you keep it that way. You don't touch it, you don't mess with it until you're ready to start a new game. Now, granted, most players don't have the self-control to do that. They want to keep tinkering and adding different things. What I usually recommend if they do that is to add the mod towards the end of the load order, so it doesn't impact your 99 mods. You're not moving, if you place a new mod here, you're not basically having the game engine have to reorder, 100 or 99 mods you're displacing, you're changing the form IDs of. So if you add new mods later on during a current playthrough, I highly recommend that you try and keep all your scripted mods with the same ID, with the same form ID. And any mod that you add that has scripts, you need to track. What I recommend that you do is you can print screen this in 2 sections, get a highlighter and highlight any mod that uses scripts, and make sure that form ID does not change. Otherwise, like I said, you can orphan scripts, you can break pointers, and you can cause all sorts of issues in your game. And if you do it enough times, you can actually break your save game and cause crash to desktop issues. I've had really good success with reordering non-scripted mods for the most part. Even though it's frowned on, you can still do it generally. What you can even do, say this mod is scripted here and you need to remove a mod because it's been causing you issues. What you can do is, instead of deleting that mod and causing the scripted mod to have a new form ID, what you can do is just come in here and just delete the entire record. I'm not going to actually click on remove here, but what you can do is basically blank the whole ESP so there's nothing in it. It's blank. But what it does is it preserves your scripted mod form ID so it doesn't change and you're not breaking your scripts. That's a little bit about load order. One other thing I want to mention is I've seen this over and over again where new players will go hog wild and install every mod under the sun when they have little experience with optimizing their load order and making it compatible. They throw 300 mods into their game with little experience, with little understanding of what is compatible, what isn't, what should be placed where and what shouldn't. And they end up having a poor experience. They just end up having issue after issue, and it's very frustrating for them. So what I highly recommend is new players to modding to start out small. Start out with a few mods, get comfortable with setting up a load order using FO4Edit, creating a compatibility patch, and then slowly build your load order from there. Don't just start game, from the get-go with 300 mods, and then you have endless issues and you have no idea what's causing the problem. If you start out small, start out with 20 to 30 mods and slowly add a few as you go, then once you install a mod and it breaks your load order, you have some troubleshooting information that you can use. But if you throw 300 mods all at once into your load order and you start having issues, even someone like me, with 4+ years of experience using these tools, I would have a difficult time figuring out which mod is causing the issue. So start small and slowly build from there, and really resist the urge to just throw tons of mods into your load order right at the beginning. Now I'm going to take you and show you two examples of creating a new mod from scratch, just really basic. We're going to go into Fallout 4 ESM because that's our primary master, which everything is based on and every mod relies on that file. We're going to come in here, and this has all the settings for the game. Let's say we want to create just a simple mod. We want to increase our jump height so we can jump higher. Generally, that type of setting is going to be under Game Settings. And it's going to be, I believe I already know what it's under. It's under F jump height. So let's search for that. Okay, right here. So it beeped at me and it highlighted F jump height minimum. So that's the setting we want to use to increase our minimum jump height. So what we're going to do is to create a new mod, we're going to right click on this setting and we're going to copy as override into, click on yes, I'm absolutely sure, and then we're going to scroll to the very bottom and click on new file. So we're going to create a new mod and a new ESP. Now we are asked what we're going to name it. Let's just say jump high. It will always add Fallout 4 ESM as the master. That's fine. Click on yes. And now we have a jump high mod. If we close this, collapse this, and go down to the bottom, we now have a new mod called jumphigh.esp. And this is the value. We're going to, let's double that so we can jump twice as high. Because it's a float, it'll automatically add the dot and the zeros because it's a float, not an integer. Now all we have to do is click on Control S, save the changes, click OK. It's done saving. We click on our mod, jump high down here, and we have a double high default jump. You can also, a lot of authors don't do this, but you can also come in here and put some information about the mod. You can right click here, put the author. You can also put a description. Most authors don't do this, but you can add it. This mod doubles the default jump height. Then we can save the mod again, Control S to save it. And let's go back to view here. And we have author and description filled out. Not a big priority, but I like to put at least my name in there as the author of the mod. Okay, so we created a jump high mod. Let's create something a little bit heavier. Let's go into our Fallout 4 ESM. Let's create a mod that edits Piper, makes Piper a little bit better. So let's go into our non-player character actor records, and let's see if we can find her here. She should be, here we go, Companion Piper. I already created my own mod that does this. It's on the Nexus, but for fun, let's create another one. So what we want to do is right click on this record again, copy as override into, and go to the very bottom and click on new file to create a new ESP. Let's say, let's just call it Better Piper for now. Yes, we want to include Fallout 4 ESM as the master. Okay, let's come up here and collapse this. And here's our Better Piper mod. Okay, let's usually at the top it'll have version control information, and usually the scripts will be at the top. Piper has a lot of scripts because she has a romance quest. A lot of them have to do with her likes and dislikes. Let's come down here. Okay. Let's change Piper so she has a minimum level. Let's say we want her minimum level to be 12. We don't want her to have a max level, so we're going to remove that and change that to 0. That means her max level is basically unlimited. Her level is currently a PC level multiplier, which means she will level with you. If you're level 15, she'll be level 15. If you're level 35, she'll be level 35. And the multiplier is 1.0, which means she will match your level. Let's give her a health offset, which basically is a health bonus. Let's give her 100 extra health. Let's not mess with factions for this one. Let's add a perk to Piper. What you can do, if there's no data here, what you can come in here and do is click on add, and it'll add a perk, but it's basically a null reference. In other words, we haven't defined anything yet. So what we can do, let's make Piper a little bit better. Let's come over here to our Fallout 4 ESM, go down to perks, and let's give her this toughness perk. What you need to do is look at the form ID. So what we can do is double click on this form ID, right click, copy it, close that. We'll collapse that, come back down to our mod. And now we can change this null reference. We can edit that and then paste the new form ID into it. Now it's recognized by the game. We just gave her the first level of the toughness perk. Let's edit that to 1. She has rank 1. Usually perks only have 1 rank. Some have more, but generally, like the toughness, there's 5 different levels, but they're each their own unique perk, as you can see. Let's come down here. Toughness, like there's toughness 1, toughness 2, toughness 3. So each rank is really its own perk, and that's pretty common. And unfortunately, they're not all together. But what you can do, say you want to add all 5, you can do that. And because they're not all together, what you can do is search. The editor ID, if you have toughness 1, 2, and 3, most likely the next perk is going to be toughness 04. So what we can do is come in here and type toughness 04, hit enter to search. Takes it a minute. Here we go, toughness 4. And we can come in here, copy, close, come back down. We can add another perk if we want. Change the null reference, edit it, paste in the new form ID, and change the rank to 1. And we can add as many perks to Piper as we want with that method. You'll notice over here in in the mod that I have on the Nexus, I've given her all the toughness perks. The adamantium skeleton 3, so there's no limb damage. Strong back, so she can carry more weight. Life giver to give her more health. Rooted, so she takes less damage when standing still, and also does more melee damage when standing still. Steady aim for better aiming with her weapons. Okay, let's, what else should we do? We could also come in here and modify her default strength. Say we want her to have default endurance of 9. We could come in here and do that. Change it to 9. Okay, let's say we want to give, we don't like this Piper's unique 10mm pistol. We think it's lousy. What we can do is come over here and remove it. Or instead of, well, let's remove it. We could also modify that record and put a new form ID in there as well. But just, we'll remove it for now. And let's say we want to give her, just for fun, let's give her a railway rifle. Let's come over down here to weapons. And see, I must have missed it here. Here we go, railway rifle. So we right click on this. Actually what we want to do is double click on the form ID, copy it, close it. We can collapse this for now. Come down to the bottom. And we can add a new item. Add. It'll be a null reference because it's not defined yet. Edit. We can paste in the new form ID. And the count is 0, so she actually doesn't have that until we actually increase that count to 1. Now it'll be in her inventory. Of course, you can't fire the railway rifle without ammo. So let's come up to the top here, go to ammunition, railway spike. Let's double click on the form ID, copy it, close. We can collapse this and come down to her record. Okay. Add a new item. Paste in the new form ID. And let's give her quite a few of these. Let's give her 500 railway spikes. Okay. We could also modify our default clothing. I mean, you can modify just about anything in the game using this tool. There are a few things that you would have to use the GEC for, but pretty much you can do just about anything you want with the FO4Edit tool. Okay. We could also edit our default outfit. There's a lot of things, different things we could do. If we come over here, outfit, it's called Piper outfit, so we can just search for it if we want. Here we go, Piper outfit. Her default outfit is clothes, Piper, red leather trench coat, and press cap. We could actually come in here and add additional items. We could remove that and replace it with something else. And her default outfit would still be using Piper outfit, but it'd have different items in it. So there's a lot of things that can be edited and done here. But for now, we added a perk to Piper. One thing you can do to make things really simple, just to see the differences, you can right-click anywhere in this window and click on Hide No Conflict Rows. So basically, it only shows the differences. We could see that we set her health, gave her a bonus of 100 health. We set her minimum level at 12. We put her max level at 0 so she can level up as high as we do. We gave her a toughness perk. We gave her toughness 4. We could have given her all the toughness perks, but for time we didn't. We gave her a railway rifle. We gave her 500 railway spikes. We could have modified her outfit, changed her hair color, done a lot of different things to change her. So we basically have created 2 mods. We created a jump high mod. We created a better Piper mod. Let's just hit Control S to save that. Okay. Now I want to go over how to make an FO4Edit compatibility patch. Every load order should have one to make all your mods compatible with each other, because it's very unlikely that all these mods won't step on each other, that they'll all have unique settings and there'll be no duplication or no changing of the same records. It's pretty much not going to happen. There are mods that are going to step on each other's settings, that you're gonna have to go in and manually make decisions and decide which setting you want to use in your game. I have already created an FO4Edit compatibility patch, but I'm going to go ahead and create another one just to show you how it's done. You basically click on any mod in your load order. I generally just click on the last one. Click on Other, Create Merged Patch. I don't really like the name of this because it's really a compatibility patch, not a merged patch. To me, a merged patch is when you actually combine multiple mods into one. I wish this was actually called Create Compatibility Patch. That's just a personal preference of mine. It says it's unsupported because they can't anticipate every situation. Basically, if you know what you're doing, go ahead and do it. I highly recommend you click on Yes. Give it a file name. Let's call this FO4Edit Compatibility Patch 2. What it's going to do is it's going to go through every mod in your load order and try and capture the differences and try and make some determinations. So if we click in here, here's our new compatibility patch. It's not going to capture very much because I've already created one, but I just wanted to show you how to do it. It's going to have some leveled item changes. Nothing that it hasn't already been carried over. Let's see, that's not something I really care about. And this is capturing all of our different Piper mods. Tough and Deadly Bombshell Piper, Better Piper, and it tries to merge the changes here in our FO4 Edit Compatibility patch that we just created. You'll notice that it pulled all these perks over from this mod, but it used the minimum level from the Better Piper mod. So it tries to be intelligent, and for the most part it does a pretty good job of determining what settings to pull over, but not always. And so you have to make some determinations on which settings you want to apply. I'm not going to really work with this one at this time. We're going to look at something else. But basically you need to go through here and go through each setting and copy over what you need to. But basically we just created a basic FO4Edit compatibility patch for, it's an entire load order patch, covers all of our mods. But we're far from done. We're only, this is just the beginning. You'll also want to go through every mod in your load order and manually copy settings into this patch to make your load order fully compatible. What I like to do to get this started is let's click on the last mod in our load order and apply filter for cleaning. This takes quite a while, but what it's doing is it's comparing all the records and looking for conflicts. And it'll color code all of our mods in every setting that has a conflict. If it's white, generally it's unique and there's no conflict. Red is usually a moderate to severe conflict. Yellow is a moderate to light conflict. Green is usually minor to insignificant conflict. Tan is an identical to master record. You'll see these ones in white. That means they're unique. There's nothing conflicting with them. If I go into their records, let's uncheck this. It's the only record of its kind, so it's going to be in white. Like I said, the ones in red and yellow are the main ones we want to be concerned about. Sometimes we want to check the ones in green also. But what I want to just talk about here is how to make some mods compatible with each other. What I've chosen is 3 mods that the authors have said are not compatible. We've got Better Settlers Mortal Patch, which makes your settlers mortal and they can be killed. We've got Beautiful Settlers. Okay, Beautiful Settlers, I use the version that is compatible with Better Settlers. But Res Settler Makeover is not compatible with Beautiful Settlers, and Hot Mama NPC Settlers and Bandits is not compatible with either of these two. And what we're going to do is make some determinations and decide what settings we want to use for each of these mods. For now, what I'm going to do is come down here to my FO4Edit compatibility patch and delete the non-player actors so I can actually demonstrate this. Okay, I can come in here and save that. Okay, what I want to do is I'm going to take this oh, that's not the right one. I want to take this Res Settler Makeover mod and use all of its settings. It's a much smaller mod than these other two. You'll notice it only has, roughly 10 to 12 records. And so what I want this mod to override the Beautiful Settlers and this one below it. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to highlight, hold the Shift key down and highlight all of these records, and I'm going to copy them into my FO4Edit compatibility patch. We right click, copy as override into, come down here and copy them into our compatibility patch. I could copy them into this one too, but we're going to work with this one for now. Takes a minute to copy all the records. Then you'll notice that each one of these is now here in our FO4Edit compatibility patch. Basically, when it comes to a load order, the last mod in your load order always wins any conflicts. So if this mod is lower than this one in your load order, if there's any conflicts, this one will win. The last one to make the change always wins any conflict. So by copying these records basically into our FO4 compatibility patch, which would normally be the last mod in our load order, basically this will always take precedence since it's the last mod in our load order. We just copied all these records, so it doesn't matter that any of these mods conflict with it because it's now been moved to the very end of our load order. Each one of these records, if we come down to our FO4Edit compatibility patch, let's see, it hasn't been updated yet. Let's see if we can force it to update here by saving it. Once in a while you'll get this where it still isn't updating and you have to reload the order. Let's see if we can force it to update by reapplying the filter. Okay, now by reapplying that filter, now we have all those records that we just copied in from the res settler bakeover mod. Okay, now with beautiful settlers, what I want to do with this mod is I want all the workshop settlers, the dynamically created workshop settlers, the farmers, to take precedence over this mod that edits settlers and bandits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and make sure that this isn't in the list, because these records have already been copied over. So I'm going to take these records, copy as override. I'm going to move them here. So now these will always take precedence because I just copied them into our compatibility patch. Let's skip all these that have this one in it, since we want that one to take precedence. Okay, there's two here that we can copy. Pretty sure all these don't conflict with that res settler mod, so we can take all these, copy as override. Oops, just copied it into the wrong one. That's okay. Let's copy it here. Save those files. Okay. It has red settler, so we're going to skip that one. That one's good. Okay, so we can copy this one. And I think these others are not conflicting with res settlers. So let's grab all these, copy as override, and move them down here. Okay. So what we've done is basically taken res settlers is going to overwrite all these other mods that edit settlers for the settings that it has, which aren't very many. We're doing that for variety. And we're using all the workshop, farmers, and settlers, the generic ones from the beautiful settlers mods, and we copy that into our compatibility patch. So this will override this one. Okay, now what we're going to do is come down to this one. Let's see. Looks like we're okay here. These ones are being overwritten from the beautiful settlers and res settlers. So we're using all the named NPC changes from this mod. Now you'll notice that this is green since Hot Mama NP Settlers and Bandits is the last mod that modifies this. It's a conflict winner. The settings are going to be applied from this mod, so we don't need to worry about copying. If it's the last mod, it always wins, and so there's no need to copy these records into our compatibility patch. Okay, we need to update these records here. Control S to save. We'll probably have to, yeah, we're going to have to refresh it. So we're going to reapply the filter to refresh the mod. Come down here. Okay, so now we've got everything that we wanted to take precedence is now listed in our compatibility patch. And to make it easier to see differences, like I said, you can click anywhere in here and hide no conflict row, so it only shows the differences. Okay, let's get into a situation here where it's in our FO4Edit compatibility patch, but we want to use the perks from Beautiful Settlers. So the way you can handle that is if you click on this perk section, it will copy every perk in the list. So what we do is just copy this and drag it to our compatibility patch. Now we just copied all these perks into our compatibility patch. So even though we used this record from, say, res settlers, yeah, it's from res settlers because this is matching this. We can still use settings from the other mods. We can still copy the perks from Beautiful Settlers, get the best of both worlds. Like we can copy the stim packs from that mod. If we want to, we can copy the pipe gun from this mod if we want to. And and that way we're kind of utilizing settings from different mods, and you can drag them back and forth if you want. You don't only have to go forward, you can go back. Just for an example, I can drag these here, like I can drag this here if I want. Because this is the stim pack is a unique new item, it's going to add the Better Settlers mod to that. Let's say no, because we don't want to add a dependency there, add that as a master. But you can drag back and forth, it doesn't really matter. We could drag here, we could drag here. Whatever settings we want to use, you can just drag back and forth. And I'm not doing this for gameplay. I'm just kind of showing you a few things. Like if you want to copy this whole section, instead of doing these one at a time, what you could do is just grab the whole section header. See, it'll change all three. Or I could come over here, change all three. If I want to, I can drag them back to a previous mod. I can grab all this, and it grabs the whole section, so I don't have to do each. I can drag it back too if I want. Or I can just drag one setting. You have an option. It just saves time to drag the whole section if you want to copy everything. But you can copy things back and forth. Another thing you can do, for example, see this Better Settlers Mortal patch? It makes the settlers mortal. It removes the protected flag so they can actually die. So what you can do this a couple different ways. You can drag this blank setting. I guess maybe you can't in this case. What you're going to have to do is right click here, go to edit, then uncheck the protected flag. What I could do also, let me put it back the way it was. What I could do, see this has protected and this doesn't. I can copy the whole section if this is all. This is what I want. I can drop it here, and then it removes the protected flag here. Or I can come here and edit it, and then I can uncheck protected, check essential if I want, or modify the different actor values here. And so this is basically a good start on making basically 3 mods that are incompatible with each other compatible, and choosing which mod we want to override the other. I still have a lot of work left to do. What I really need to do is come over here into this Better Settlers Mortal patch and go through everyone and make sure that the protected flag is removed from. Looks like it's gone on most of them. See, this one it isn't. So what I can do is, if this has every setting I want that this has, just not the protected, I could copy this over here and drag it down here. Or I could, like I said, right click here, edit, and remove the flag right here. But this is another example where I want to copy the perks over. I want to copy the stim pack over. I can copy the pipe weapon over if I want to. So you can drag settings back and forth. You can drag individual settings. Or you can grab the whole group, drop it over. And it takes a lot of practice and experience to know what settings should I use and what settings shouldn't. What settings should I drag over, what settings I shouldn't. The best thing I can advise players to do is just practice, get familiar with the tool. The more you use it, the more skill and expertise you'll obtain, and you'll be able to make more intelligent decisions as you go along on which settings you should copy over and which you should ignore. It's just one of those things that takes time and practice and patience. When I first started learning the tool a little over 4 years ago, I made a lot of mistakes, ruined several load orders. I probably ruined 4 to 8 load orders before I really got the hang of it and started making some really good, stable and conflict-free load orders. But what you can do also, we've basically started making these 3 incompatible mods compatible. There are still records we need to copy over from a few of them. But what you can do is, when we applied that filter for cleaning, it highlighted all these mods, so we can come into here and look at these records and see what we need to do. Since this is an integration patch, you'll notice it fixes the right setting here. So this is a setting that wants to take precedence. So we really don't need to do anything with these red records, because of the integration patch goes after both the homemaker and the settlement keywords patch, or settlement keywords mod. It makes them both compatible. So we really don't need to worry about that one too much. Armor keywords is going to be, it's going to have a few conflicts with Armor Smith Extended, although Armor Smith Extended was is fully compatible with Armor keywords. You'll notice that it has clothing type slot 33, clothing type slot 33. It just uses a different keyword. This uses 807, that uses 808. Not really a big deal, since it has the keywords. They're just different numbers. I don't think the author considers that a big deal. We'll probably find a lot of those with the keywords with a slightly different number. Okay, this is a mod that I've created, 50cal11. What we're going to do is make a simple compatibility patch. There's some conflicts with this mod. If I come down here to the conflicts, there's a conflict between my mod 50cal11 and the Better Weapon Mod Descriptions mod. So we're going to make them both compatible. So what I'm going to do, my mod has the most data in it, so it makes sense for me to copy these records from my mod instead of copying them from this mod. It really doesn't matter, you can do it either way. I'm going to copy as override, and I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it 50cal11 Better Weapon Mod Description Compatibility Patch. Yes. Okay. So now what I can do, here's my mod, and we want to copy this data over. So now you'll notice that it turned red to green. Now there's basically no conflict. And we can do that. Okay, we've already got that one covered. Okay, so we can copy this. Now we just made these two mods compatible with that record. Come over here, drag that over. Now we're using this setting from better weapon mod descriptions and then all the other settings from 50 cal 11 in this compatibility patch. Come down here, drag this over. We've already made that one compatible. We forgot to do this one. Okay, so basically we took, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records and created a new compatibility patch that makes 50 cal 11 mod and the better weapon mod description mods compatible. Generally, any compatibility patch that you make or a mod author makes for their mods, you need to place the compatibility patch after both mods in question. So if this is a compatibility patch for 50 cal 11 and better weapon mod descriptions, the compatibility patch always has to go after both mods. That's really important when you place your compatibility patch. The two mods that it makes compatible, the compatibility patch always goes after both mods in your load order. Otherwise, it's not going to be effective. Let me show you a couple other things you can do really quickly. The apply filter for cleaning is really used to check for errors in mods. What you can do is right-click on this mod, and there's three things that you can really do to check and make sure your mod is clean and there aren't any problems with it. You can check for errors. Currently, this isn't really accurate because all the records and data fields aren't populated for the specific Fallout 4 settings. So this is going to throw up a lot of unused data because these records aren't recognized in FO4Edit currently until they update it. And so we're not going to get a lot of useful data. It says we have 23 errors, but really it's just unused records that it doesn't recognize. So that really isn't very useful at this point in the game until it's fully updated for the Fallout 4 data. But what is fully working is remove identical to master records. There aren't any in my mod. You can also, an identical to master record basically is a record that's identical to the Fallout 4 ESM file, master file. And the reason why they usually don't hurt anything, but they're not unnecessary and they should be removed, because what can happen is if you have all these identical to master records, later when Fallout 4 gets patched, it may change those records, and if you have identical to master records, you're holding on to old data in your mod, which then can invalidate the update. So I think I've cleaned most of these myself, so let's create an identical to master record. Let's copy this just for fun into our compatibility patch. You'll notice that there's no conflict when I hide conflict. No conflict rows. They're identical records. So if I come down here, let's save it. Come down to armor. Let's check it. Let's refresh this. Okay, here's our identical to master record right here. If you right click, hide no conflict rows, there's no difference between the two. Now let's try that again. Let's go click over here to messages and see it removed records 1. So it removed that identical to master record, which was basically unnecessary. And later on it could bite us in the butt if the game was updated and that record was improved or changed and we're holding on to old data. And there's no reason to have identical to master records in your mods, because every plugin, all the data in Fallout 4 ESM is always read and applied to your game. And so there's no reason to duplicate it later on, because there's no reason to load the same data twice. It's just a waste of, it makes the plugin bigger, and it can invalidate future patches, future game patches. The other one that you can, cleaning method you can apply is undelete and disable references. There's going to be very few of these currently until the GEC comes out and people start deleting references using the GEC, and then it makes the mod dirty. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on what this does. You can look it up later and find out more detail, but basically it basically undeletes the deleted record and just disables it, so it's not applied anymore. Until usually like in Skyrim, a lot of these records were created by people deleting things in the creation kit and leaving it that way, leaving deleted records in the plugin. Because we don't have the GEC yet for Fallout 4, you're not going to see hardly any of these undeleted and disabled references that you're going to have to worry about. But once the GEC comes out, then you're going to start seeing more and more that need to be cleaned in the plugins, because people get sloppy and they forget to clean them when they're done. Let's see, what haven't we covered? Covered how to create a FO4Edit compatibility patch. We created one here. We created 2 new mods, a jump mod and a better piper mod. I showed you how to resolve conflicts with different mods, how to copy records, copy as override into your compatibility patch, and also how to drag records between different mods. And let's see, what we haven't covered is how to merge plugins, multiple plugins together. There's a script that was written for the TES5Edit in Skyrim that merges plugins together, takes multiple plugins and merges them into one plugin. So far the script works perfectly for FO4Edit. I haven't seen any issues with using it. You can actually pick it up. Let's go here. Let's go to Skyrim. Let's do a search for merge plugins. Okay, merge plugins XEdit script. Like I said, XEdit is another name for TES5Edit or FO4Edit. So If you see XEdit, just keep that in mind. What you can do is download this file and then copy the contents into your FO4Edit folder. And then what you can do is merge various plugins together. Let's take all these legendary modifications. Now, before we start the merge, keep in mind that you have to be careful when you merge a master, because there may be a master file that many other plugins rely on for data, and if you merge all these plugins together and one of them's a master for another file, you just broke its dependencies. There is a way around it. What you can do is merge them together, leave the old files in your load order, and I'll show you that you can actually edit the dependency and change it to the new name. For example, let's come in here, let's show everything. For example, this legendary modification 2MAK patch has legendary modification 2LM as a master. So basically, if we take these files and merge them together, we have the potential to break a dependency. If another file relies on that master and we just changed its name. Let's go ahead and select all these. Right click, go to Apply Script. Merge Plugins 1.9 is in the list. That's what we're going to use. Click on OK. It'll also ask you to configure the initial options for the script. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, now it's going to ask us which plugins. We've already selected. Let's see. Okay, yeah, here they are. The ones that we selected are all checked that we want to merge together. Let's click OK. It'll ask us, yeah, we want to create a new file. And let's call it legendary modification merged. Okay, we've got an error message, some records failed to copy. Let's see what we've got. So this apparently wasn't a good example because it couldn't, resolve those records. So we won't end up saving that one. Let's try this one here. Generally, you don't want to merge a group of mods that is constantly updated or frequently updated, because then you constantly have to rebuild your merged patch. Okay. They're all selected. Okay. Let's name it Arbitration Merged. Okay, and no errors. So now we have a record Arbitration Merged that combines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, basically 10 plugins. Now what we could do is delete all these individual plugins out of our data folder, and then also remove them out of our plugins.txt file, and include this one instead. So what I could do here, let's go to my data folder, copy that name, back these up, and flag this as read-only, because if you don't flag plugins.txt as read-only, currently the engine will reset it to 0, reset it to nothing. I think once they come out the GAC and they officially support mods, then it won't do that, but for now you have to check it as read-only and uncheck it as read-only to edit it. Now what we could do is come in here, select all the arbitration individual plugins and replace it with, I wonder why that, okay, let's delete those. Looks like we're going to have to recopy that. Okay, now we've got the merged plugin in place of all the other individuals, and we can save it and reflag it as read-only. And then we just took 8 to 10 mods and turned it into one.